talk about a couple other areas. Process improvement. We talked about that in prior episodes. Sure. How do you, as you're going through the sales conversation, whether it's in-source or outsource, how do you quantify how much of an impact process improvement, efficiency improvement is going to have on a business?
So you can tell pretty early on, how much process is defined and how much it's formalized within an organization when you're talking through things like how do you handle, end user onboarding and offboarding? How do you manage or maintain your electronic systems use policies? All of those types of questions. And what you're really talking about are IT best practices, right? And so you can tell pretty early on if an organization has a pretty well-developed ecosystem of process and procedure. We know when we bring in best practices, we can immediately see process improvement just because we do it so many times per day over and over in so many different environments. So, from a best practices perspective, we can immediately bring processes to the table, IT processes to the table that are proven and have been refined over a number of years versus organizations essentially having to create them on their own.
And the next area I want to talk about is, say, best-in-class systems and tools. Because how often you're going through that in-source versus outsource discussion, do you find that the tools they're currently using today are either not in place at all, or they're the wrong tools, or a few generations old that are actually creating inefficiencies and have gaps?
So yeah, a lot of times you have organizations that have software, tools, management systems in place that don't fit their needs, and they probably fit their needs 5 years ago. But it's too much responsibility for them to go yank that out and put what they need in, or it's too much of a burden, on the existing operational staff because they're too busy fixing printers and creating user accounts and all these other things. So it just becomes a very low priority and it never gets managed. Whereas when you have an MSP that can bring in, a proven set of tools that they're using to manage thousands of assets, per day, you really start to get the best of breed solutions at a fraction of the cost, right? Because you're not having to go out and license it yourself. You're not deploying internal servers and infrastructure to support it. It's all done as a service and on a per asset subscription model. And so, you get the best of both worlds.